Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another segment of Asaph Cafe. I am your host, Asaph Adonai, and affectionately on my left, our aging rocker Emmett, and through the magic of green screen technology, we have placed ourselves on two sets at the same time.
Fascinating.
A movie and a television show of the past.
Mm-hmm.
On the left of the screen, Conan the Barbarian with the actor Arnold Schwarzenegger doing one of the Conan movies. Mm-hmm. And on the right of your screen, an old television show from the past, Battlestar Galactica with Lauren Green.
And I loved both, yes.
Yeah, and so we're, in this version of Asaph Cafe, we're on the set of both of these shows. Mm-hmm. One is a movie, and one's a television show.
Yes.
And so we're going to have fun talking about that. And also, this is episode 198.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason I'm stressing that before we pray and start is because next Thursday will be our 200th episode of Asaph Cafe. Whether we do two shows today or one, I can just skip 199 and still celebrate up to 200.
I think I'll just do one episode a day, especially with my voice.
Yeah, but I mean, in case I get the second show with the younger staff when they come in later. So next week will be April 26th, and we'll be celebrating 200 Asaph Cafes. You keep believing it.
Yeah.
200 shows. All right, do you want to start us off, or do you want me to do it this time?
Heavenly Father, please bless our food and our time together, and heal my allergies. Heavenly Father, please, in Jesus' name.
Amen. So, anyway, let's see. How did that? They had a theme song on that. If I can remember how it went.
Battlestar Galactica or Conan?
I think it was Battlestar. If I can remember.
Let's see. Dun 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 dun. Fascinating lasers. Oh wait, I don't have my power watch.
Something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lasers. Firing lasers. Yep.
Something like that.
I
I don't know it all the way through because
very similar to Star Wars.
You talking about Battlestar Galactica?
Yes, the theme song, that kind of type of thing.
All right, let's talk about Battlestar first. Do you know the synopsis or the premise of the show?
Oh, yes.
I don't know that show as well. I've seen it a few times.
Yeah, basically, it was an odd idea. I don't agree with it that life on Earth began on other planets far in another galaxy, and they found it to be
they're using science fiction and imagination
right.
too, and they take artistic license.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there were several Battlestars, what they're calling huge giant warships in another galaxy that were protecting a whole bunch of planets, and I don't even remember their names. Carolon and not Carolon, that was another planet. Some other planets, and I don't remember. But humans had been at war with an alien race called the Cylon Empire, where they were actually just robots that had been made by the Cylons. But the Cylons did one thing, wanted to destroy all humans, because humans had intelligence, compassion, love. At first they were not at war with the Cylons because we didn't do much, but the humans decided to help free certain races that the Cylons had enslaved, so this huge war. The premise in the pilot, at least, 2-hour movie or so, even longer, was that basically Baltar, this very evil human, wanted to sell the human race out to the Cylon Empire. They wanted to sue for peace with all the Battlestars and basically just stand down, and when they did, finally the Imperious leader, this alien on this one, they had these huge, beautiful, what are they called? There were other battles, they were not Battlestars, they were base ships. Where Cylons, Jews, and space fighter craft decided it is time for the final destruction of the race known as man. Let the attack begin. And
so they had the Cylons going after the humans.
Right. And there's this huge space war and everything. But unfortunately, also the Cylons decided, in their spacecraft, little mini fighters, to just wipe out everyone, all these planets. I don't even remember their names for some reason. And then wipe out all the other Battlestars. There's just huge space wars. Brilliantly done, beautifully. but the Battlestar Galactica was the last surviving Battlestar.
You talking about the crew of that ship?
Yes.
They were the survivors of the attack of the Cylons?
Right, the last Battlestar, yeah,
They decided to defend mankind from the...
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And then Apollo decided, because there were a lot of survivors from these inner and outer planets, they decided to gather all the survivors they could in just whatever old spaceships they could, buses, old whatever, to find I think the 13th tribe or the 12th tribe or whatever, on a planet known as Earth. They wanted to find the planet Earth, our planet, to see if they had technology that could defeat the Cylons.
Okay, so they're not time traveling or anything.
Right, they're not.
Okay.
But they made this incredible series. I mean an incredible television show, full orchestra, beautiful lasers as you can see.
And that was based on the original movie before the series?
It wasn't a movie, it was just a television pilot, television pilot for the series. Every week it was brilliant space wars. Every week it was incredible music, and the Cylons going, "We must destroy the Galactica," or something, and destroy fire lasers. Brilliant! Okay. Brilliant! I mean, they actually, in one episode, they did a lot of two-parters. They had one called what was it called? I don't remember the name of the episode. I've got almost all the episodes on videotape.
Okay.
But it was called... They found, as they were going on reconnaissance patrol, the fighters from Battlestar Galactica found an old, lost Battlestar, the Pegasus, led by the legendary Commander Kane.
All right.
And Kane had known about some rebel fleet, but he couldn't break the code. He thought that they were the last Battlestar of the Pegasus.
Okay.
He met with Commander Adama and decided, this is the time. We attack. We can finally destroy the Cylon Empire by the Lords of Kobol. The Cylon Empire is about to fall. So there's two-parter of how they huge space battles and everything, and wanted finally to even go on the Cylons' home planet known as Gamorre, and take over Cylon fuel base so they could have all fuel indefinitely, and that left actually all those other mini ships that are falling vulnerable to target practice for the Cylon Empire to just destroy with their fighters. So, but basically, the Battlestar Galactica and the Pegasus finally went to defend it. It's a long story.
Okay.
Very, very long.
I got the gist of it, you know.
And there are brilliant space wars, and it just captured. When I first saw Battlestar Galactica as a kid, I was only 11. I couldn't understand it. I could not understand that pilot episode. I thought, the Cylons all look like Darth Vader, and the ships don't even look like stars. What's going on? I tried it a couple of weeks later, and I fell in love with it.
Cool.
And I even got a lot of Battlestar Galactica, a lot of Battlestar Galactica toys.
Yeah.
The Vipers and the Cylon Raiders and Battlestar Galactica action figures and toys, and I just loved it. I played my own Battlestar Galactica type adventures. I just loved Battlestar Galactica.
I've been looking at some of it lately since it's on TV, and I may not understand it to the degree that you do, but it just seems like good old science fiction. You know what might be easier if you were to take that and put it on right there. And then that way you can just reach over
Good
instead
point.
of walk around.
The problem is, I don't want the
I
audience to see
understand
like that.
It's just a thought.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you the most comfortable. And I know the TV audience knows you have these allergy issues, and I understand that, but I really wish you the best on that.
But anyway, Battlestar Galactica was just... It was only on for a year.
That's it.
They made another one.
Same people?
Yeah. Galactica 1980.
I know of it.
They finally found Earth. They found Earth.
In the 1980 version, right?
And they couldn't find any technology to defeat the Cylons, but mostly it wasn't the brilliant space battles. It was just the crew, or some of the crew of what was left of the Battlestar Galactica, finding out all about Earth culture. I thought it was a dumb concept. They did a remake of Battlestar Galactica around
it was in 2004, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. And it wasn't near as good.
Now, was that a television show in 2004?
Yes, it was.
Okay, not a movie, okay.
Yeah, they did a remake, but they did it much more seriously. It wasn't the cheesy Cylons firing lasers and these beautiful lasers and what it was, it looked like the Battlestar Galactica starfighters would fire bullets, and same with the Cylon Raiders, they would fire bullets or something, and it was much more refined and sophisticated. It wasn't cheesy space wars with Cylon. They were saying we must destroy the Pegasus, fire main mega lasers.
In the 2004.
Yeah, they just didn't have any lasers.
No Cylons or anything?
They had Cylons, but they looked different. Some even looked actually human.
Oh, I see, okay.
Hard to describe.
Okay.
Oh, these allergies.
That's okay.
They may have given me a placebo. But anyway, I just didn't care for the new updated one.
Okay.
I did not. It was just... But the other one, I loved. I loved the other one.
So your favorite... They made 2 movies of that? Was it 2?
No, just 2 series.
Okay, so the first one was the one in 78, right?
Yeah, that was the
That's
first
the
television
original.
series.
And then the second one was in 1980, and then they did a 2004 version?
Yes.
But of the 3, your favorite, obviously...
Is the first one, 1978, yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Well, that gives me an idea, asking questions, because, like, I'm not as familiar with that series. But from what little I've seen lately, it just seems like you're typical science fiction.
Oh, I just loved it. And the Space Wars were beautiful.
Yeah.
Magnificent to look like. And I loved the way they did the lighting. That's why, because as you can see, the Cylons were so shiny, and there's this light that they have, and it was an interesting way they did the Cylon-based ships, because if you see inside, there are a lot of like glowing lights and everything kind of shiny and reflective.
Okay, I see.
Brilliant.
All right.
You know, they even did one that was about, in a sense, Christianity.
You talk about Battlestar? Mm-hmm. How's that?
It was not exactly about Christianity, but it was a spiritual one with spiritual overtones with good versus evil. Do you remember that one?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of episodes of that show, so I don't know it as well.
Oh, it was a very, very, very good one. It was a 2-parter. They often did 2-parters, even though they weren't movies.
Okay.
Well, they found... Oh, it's hard to explain. But they went to an alien planet because they would often do reconnaissance patrols in this... Battlestar Galactica starfighters or whatever.
Well, while you're explaining, I'm going to just do some music.
Yeah. They found what seemed like a survivor, a human survivor. Okay. His name was Count Ibley. He was played by, I think, Jack Palance or something, I think was his name. Wasn't there an actor named Jack Palance?
Yeah, a real tall actor.
Yes.
Lanky actor.
Yep. And anyway, his ship had crashed, and but then there were these glowing orbs of light just flying around, and he said, "We better go. These are the great powers." And I think it was one of the female pilots that said, "You mean the Cylon Empire?" I said, "No, there are other things in this universe."
Okay.
But anyway, he seemed to have telekinetic powers and some other things. They brought him on board the Galactica. Big mistake.
So he was a bad guy, then, is what you're saying?
He turned out to be. I'm getting there. Anyway, he decided he wanted to be their leader, and a lot of other people wanted them, Count Italy, to be their leader, so he could plot the course to find Earth. There were 2. Finally, there are 3 tests of his power. 1, I can't remember the first one. Oh yeah, he would grow some excellent food, for the survivors of the whole crew and everything, because there was hardly any food. He did that. And second of all, he would deliver their enemy, Baltar, to them that night.
I see.
Because Baltar had been concerned about the strange lights too, and he wanted a conference with Adama. And he decided, I'm going there to meet with Adama to discuss this. Well, the Council of the 12 decided to convict Baltar of horrible treason against the human race, and they sentenced him to life on the prison barge. But Commander Adama was getting more and more suspicious of Count Iblis.
Okay.
Count Iblis wore this cape and these robes, and this is where it got kind of frightening.
Okay.
At the second part, Count Iblis was on board the prison, just teleported. He could teleport himself back and forth anywhere. He teleported himself to the prison barge and spoke to Baltar, the one that sold him out, and said,
okay.
Baltar said, I know that voice. It is the voice of the imperious leader.
Okay.
And then Count Iblis said, well, if I'm the voice of the imperious leader, must mean that Cylon leader would be replaced with machine leader 1,000 years ago. I must be 10,000 years old. This was the scary part. Count Iblis said to Baltar, don't worry, my old friend. All is not lost. And Count Iblis just disappeared. They're like, uh-oh. Count Iblis siding with Baltar, who had sold out the whole human race. Something's really wrong here. Well, we found out. Commander Adama knew something was wrong with this guy. Very wrong.
Okay.
And basically wanted, Captain Apollo and Starbuck and Sheba, the three had found this guy to go back to the planet and get answers.
Okay.
It was a secret mission. They went on a shuttle. Oh, there were still strange lights around this, floating around. And even this beautiful city, it looked like a crystal city in space, just going back and forth. A lot of the pilots that had been lost on deep, patrol, and they had this incredible sound where they couldn't hear this whining sound. This beautiful music would come to just. What was that? But they did find out who Count Iblis was. They went to the planet and they went into the wreckage. And Apollo said, don't go in there. Don't go in there. You don't want to see what's in there. I know who he is. And he had his laser and everything. And she said, Sheba, you don't want to look in there. I know who Count Iblis is. Okay. Think back to the ancient legends. Mephistopheles, all the other ancient ones. The Prince of Darkness himself. And then Count Iblis appeared and said, no, stop. And basically, he was Lucifer.
Yikes.
Yeah. That's who he was. And then Apollo blasted him with a laser, and he just said, we will have another appearance again. We will fight again. But unfortunately, this Count Iblis struck Starbuck down or something with his powers. They were transported to this beautiful spiritual city with angels.
Okay, so that's
the orbs were heavenly angels.
Okay.
And Count Iblis feared these beings because he may have broken some law, even angelic spirits must obey. And that basically was how it concluded. Okay. The angels revived Starbuck and explained that this Count Iblis is the evil force that tries to divert people from truth. But Count Iblis must be punished, and he will be punished in a way fitting what we want, some penalty of our choosing. Mm-hmm. And we will take you back with whatever, and your missing pilots will be taken back with logical explanations. Now we must go, and they even kind of basically got the coordinates to Earth. They kind of found out, but that was incredible. That was an excellent episode.
So I can see where it kind of sort of almost seems Christian in the sense.
Yeah, that was brilliant writing.
Sounds like it from what you're telling me. I didn't see that episode, but from what you're telling me,
it's one of my favorite episodes.
Just good over evil. That's
exactly.
Good, yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
Wow.
Writing like that, it wasn't just space wars and lasers.
I understand.
It was brilliant writing like that, and that's one of the best episodes I ever saw.
Wow.
Wow.
And that was in the 1978 one too?
Yes, that wasn't just in the 1978 one. It was just a two-part in that series called War of the Gods.
But I mean, it was in...
Yes, it was in that, yes.
War of the Gods?
Mm-hmm. They always had titles for those episodes, you know.
Yeah.
That one, or The Long Patrol, or some other Lost Way, or whatever. That, I mean, brilliant writing.
Right, right.
Brilliant.
Well, you know, science fiction is something that you can just use your imagination to have.
Oh, yeah.
That's the cool thing about science fiction.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that they always kind of brought in spirituality like that occasionally. That was good.
Speaking of science fiction, Netflix. Are you familiar with Netflix?
I've never seen any.
No, Netflix is it's sort of like YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
It's an organization where they show all the movies. Well, I finally got Netflix recently, and it has like every TV show.
Wow, wonderful.
Science fiction show.
Wonderful.
And what's interesting is when you watch these shows, it's almost like looking at it brand new for the first time because you notice things on here that
exactly.
you didn't notice on the TV
Oh, yeah,
show.
yeah.
Because, you know, it's so clear.
Yeah, exactly.
And, just stuff like that.
But yeah, I mean, they had just had brilliant writing. Unfortunately, a lot of people panned Battlestar Galactica. They thought it was too much like Star Wars. They didn't understand it.
Really?
It only, the 1978 one with Lord and Green only lasted 1 year, and then they had Galactica in 1980, and then that awful remake in 2004.
Just one season that show.
Yeah, the one that you're watching here now. Yeah. A lot of people thought it was too weird. Don't want any more of the secret ingredient.
Yeah, I'll take a little bit more, yeah.
They didn't understand it. They thought it was cheesy or too much like Star Wars, like a Star Wars ripoff.
Do you get to watch Battlestar on what is it, Saturday nights now?
It's not anymore because I used to, but it's on too late for me to watch.
I go to church in the morning.
Yeah.
The mass.
And I often, you know, anymore just go to bed at 10. The thing is, I've seen them all so many times, and I've got them all on videotape from the Sci-Fi Channel.
But it's a lot more fun when you see it on television.
Yeah, it is. I know.
You may have, because I have the same thing. Like, I might see a science fiction show or something that I have in my collection, but it's more fun when you see it on television at times.
Yeah. But anyway, my favorite episode, ironically, was War of the Gods, just because it had that spirituality. Being a Roman Catholic is very, you know, being a Roman Catholic, it's just, I mean, brilliant writing.
Okay, cool.
I loved it ever since I was 10 or 11, I left 10.
Well, you're like me. I like a lot of science fiction too. Now, let's talk about Conan, because I'm not as familiar with that show either.
How much time do we have?
We still have about 30 minutes left.
Wonderful. Oh, I can't wait. This is a brand new topic, folks.
Yeah,
Not only...
We never talked about Battlestar Galactica. Now let's talk about
We've
Conan.
talked about Battlestar Galactica a couple of times, but not into this great detail.
Okay.
But Conan, I'm always been a huge fan, not only of science fiction, but of a genre known as heroic fantasy. We usually like barbarians against evil or evil wizards or that kind of thing, and fighting in either in the Middle Ages or back way in the past. Conan the Barbarian was originally started as short stories written by an author named Robert E. Howard in the 30s and 40s.
It was a book originally. You talking about the character Conan?
Yeah, it was just short stories, and they often appeared in science fiction magazines back then, like Weird Tales or Fantastic Tales or that kind of thing. You could submit anything, and basically, then they kind of were compiled into several anthologies. I have some at home. Basically, the time of Conan was, I would put it sometime in the book of Genesis.
You mean his time?
Yeah, the time that Conan lived. The reason is because it was between the fall of Atlantis. Atlantis had just fallen, and then civilization was just rebuilding.
Okay.
We finally got out of the cave and discovered steel again, and kings and castles. And Conan was a race or a tribe known as the Sumerians.
Okay.
Primitive tribe, but in the movie, at least in the anthologies that Robert E. Howard wrote, he was just, I can't remember how he came, but he was this huge barbarian. Okay. And I was kind of confused. I first saw this movie, Conan the Barbarian, when I was 15, and I wondered, how can barbarians be good? But according to Robert E. Howard, often in like heroic fantasy, barbarians are good people fighting against evil in a very chaotic way.
Are they on the Earth?
Yeah, they are on the Earth, planet Earth, and very chaotic. But they fight good for good against evil. They're very strong, extremely strong. Have great healing properties. Just they love to drink alcohol and love everything. They love to eat meat and that. But they're very trustworthy, very loyal. Okay. That was what Conan was. Conan, in the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, as a young child, and they had beautiful music, like discussed like when, that orchestra dog kind of sounded like something like Carl Orff or something, or Carmen. Now, the village of Samaria, Conan's race was destroyed by these horrible marauders led by Thulsa-Doom, an evil sorcerer, Conan as a child was sold into slavery. Then he became a pit fighter, finally was released out into the wilds. Okay. In the movie, he stumbled into this one cave. It's kind of I know it's a long story, but he found beautifully done this old king, a skeleton of an old king with a sword. He picked up the sword and bang, just wow, he had his broadsword and he was going to fight for truth and justice and the whole thing because he just now had this indomitable will and this huge physique. You've seen, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I've seen his character.
And he swore revenge against Thulsa-Doom. He wanted the bad guy that destroyed his whole family, his mother, his father.
Conan's character swore against the bad. Okay, got it. I got that.
Well, it turned out Thulsa-Doom was a leader of these horrible snake cults. They were everywhere. And beautiful. Conan did fall in love with another barbarian woman named Valeria while he and a friend Subutai the Mongol were trying to get into one of these temples with these serpent temples and because they wanted jewels, they were thieves. And there was this was beautiful music, beautifully done. There wasn't a lot of talking, but they finally broke in, got the eye of this, and then finally, Conan got this beautiful jewel. Then there was this huge, gigantic snake that tried to kill Conan, so Subutai the Mongol was fighting it with his bows and arrows, and Conan chopped up the giant snake with his sword. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Now, was that a movie?
That was the movie, Conan the Barbarian. Long story short, finally, he's able to break into Thulsa-Doom's castle, finally defeat Thulsa-Doom. There's beautiful fighting, a lot of blood, guts, and gore. Okay. Very bloody movie, but then at the end, he kills Thulsa-Doom.
That's good. So you saw this movie, right? And this is a movie with a lot of blood.
R-rated movie.
Yeah, okay. And the other one was a television series, the Battlestar.
Yes.
Series. Gotcha.
But now a lot of people are probably wondering why, as a Christian, would I like a movie like this? Because it's good versus evil.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily wrong at all.
Yeah. Even though they have sorcery and sorcerer characters, if you fight the sorcerer and win, I think that's fine for a Christian to watch. You were even talking about a sermon you had heard about that.
Yeah, I did.
Maybe you could explain that sermon you heard. I think.
Yeah.
Who was
the
it?
sermon was Jack Finnegan. And he was talking about like movies.
Yeah.
Disney. I think he mentioned Disney too.
Yeah.
Like some of that. But where I'm going with this is he was saying he didn't necessarily think it was wrong for a Christian to look at this thing as long as it portrays good over evil. That kind of thing. Like the good guys wiping out the bad guys. Like like in those Disney movies. When like say Snow White.
Yes.
You know how they wipe out that. That old lady, that wicked lady or whatever. Stuff like that. As long as the good guy triumphs over.
Right.
So. He was just saying that it's not necessarily wrong to look at that.
No.
Just as long as...
Absolutely.
They're not promoting bad stuff. Just as long as it's good.
If there are bad stuff, you fight against it.
Yeah, that's it. So that's all I was saying. And
But I love heroic fantasy.
Yeah, because I always wondered about that at first, but no, those kind of movies don't necessarily bother me.
Wonderful, because I know you have your this is a strict show. You have kind of limits on what you talk about. That's why I never brought up Conan the Barbarian. I didn't know if you'd even like.
I never saw it, but I think it's harmless in and of itself.
Oh, absolutely, R-rated.
I did it mostly for your sake too, so to give you some fresh stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Kind of take the reins a little bit today,
Absolutely, and wonderful. But I just love that movie. Beautifully done, beautifully acted. A lot of blood, guts, and gore. But you know what? I was reading in Star Wars.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's movies are blood, guts, and gore if you think about it. But I guess there's a market for it.
Yes.
It may not be necessarily something you should necessarily feed on, but if you just want to get that part of you and just I guess Yeah,
well, I've seen the movie many, many times.
His Terminator movies.
Oh yeah, I love them.
Witness. Here's her.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I loved the Terminator film.
That was the theme song to it.
I wouldn't let children watch Conan the Barbarian. They're too young. But when you're a teenager, I think you can. I love heroic fantasy. I love heroic fantasy, and I just skipped over a lot because we would have been here for 2 hours or 2.5 hours. It was a long movie.
Well, we got about 20 minutes left, so we've been covering.
And also, there were some other movies that I just loved that were made in that kind of time period too. And one was a movie I even asked the staff to help me put my copy on DVD and record it because it was going out. I didn't want it to break. I've seen this, but it was a little-known movie. Again, swords and sorcery, good versus evil.
I've heard of that.
The Sword and the Sorcerer?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Isn't it a Disney film?
No, it's R-rated.
Okay.
The Sword and the Sorcerer is very R-rated.
I've heard of it.
It came out in 1982. Oh, it was a good film.
Kind of like the...
Similar to Conan.
Okay.
It was not animated. It was live action.
Okay.
Like Conan. Okay. Conan is live action.
The Sword and the Sorcerer, you said?
Yeah, it was a live action movie made in 1982.
Okay.
81, 82, I can't remember. Oh, it had a barbarian too. His name was Talon. And he would fight against evil. Here's the premise, synopsis. To make a long story short, there was this horrible king. This is about in the Middle Ages. Named King Cromwell. He was this horrible, evil king.
Okay.
I mean, and he was desperate to take over King Richard's castle and kingdom. He wanted the kingdom of King Richard. He was a usurper type king. He was very evil. Well, he went to the edge of the world to resurrect this horrible sorcerer named Zusha of Delos.
Okay.
To help, King Richard, fight against who was King Richard's castle and King Richard's kingdom and get it.
Okay.
Because he won. It's the richest kingdom in the world, and he wanted it. And he was not good. But finally, he resurrected this sorcerer, and basically this horrible sorcerer would just rip out your guts. You just rip out your guts. And he even said, "As you can see, my art is powerful." And then King Cromwell pulled out a sword and said, "I will allow you to live as long as you serve me. Betray me, and I will kill you." And then this sorcerer, I realized this is a bad move on Cromwell. Cromwell should never resurrect him.
Oh, not resurrect it and then go into alliance with that thing or whatever, huh?
Well, he did, actually, with King Cromwell. Thou shalt have thy kingdom, and I too shall have what should be mine. But then he did, with the help of the sorcerer, conquer Aden and conquer King Richard's kingdom.
Okay.
Killed the king and queen, and only his son survived, Prince Talon. He inherited his father's broadsword. It was like this 3 swords in one. Okay. If this was a brother that had 3 giant swords, like a gauntlet of steel. Okay. Finally, Prince Talon, after the years were on, became a barbarian warrior fighting for other kingdoms. Okay. And fighting to protect kings, from whatever other usurpers. And he was this huge, strong, tough barbarian. Beautifully music, but finally, to make a long story short, he liberated the city of Aden. As a matter of fact, King Cromwell decided to kill the sorcerer Zusha because he didn't need him anymore.
So
he was just a sociopath, but he was worried that Zusha was still after him. So after many battles, finally, at the end, my allergies, Talon wanted to overthrow King Cromwell.
Okay.
And, as payback, as revenge for what he did to his family.
Okay.
Well, Cromwell wasn't through. One kingdom was not enough. He wanted to rule the entire civilized world and get it all. In one, he was going to have a banquet and a peace treaty with 4 other kings. Huge banquets, and he kidnapped this one woman, I think it was even Talon's girlfriend, Ilana, and forced her to marry him.
Okay.
And guess what? This is going to sound really crazy, but even Prince Talon, or the Barbarian, ended up being crucified. It's kind of bizarre. Right at the feast. And they were going to get killed, and how he got saved was, there were going to be all the king's archers were going to kill all the kings at the feast. And then Cromwell would rule all those empires. Cromwell was very evil. Well, finally, one of the kings said, "Is that Talon? Is that Prince Talon? Sure looks like him. It is him." Well, we owe that man too much. Last time I heard he was chieftain of some tribes, or something like this. And another king said, "We owe that man too much to die like a dog at the hands of Cromwell." And the other king said, "What about the treaty?" He said, "Darn the treaty. There'd be no kingdoms at all if it weren't for him." And the other king said, "It will be war." And the other king said, "Yes, let it be war."
Let me ask you, when you were a kid, were those the kind of action stories you liked as a child?
I didn't know about them as a child, but as a teenager.
I mean just stories like that.
Yes.
Did you like those kind
Not
of
even as
stories
a child, but when I was introduced to this kind of literature and this kind of writing when I was 15.
15? Okay.
Yes, and I loved it at age 15.
Well, what's interesting about that is, like that kind of stuff that you like may not be for everybody.
Right.
But everybody has their taste or whatever.
So anyway,
I see.
Who's the Barbarian? Talon. The music was excellent and majestic too. Tried to get himself free from this Cromwell, and there was this huge fight, and all the kings were fighting. Long story short, Zusha did show up, but then, in the most horrifying way, and he had a lot of weapons. Zusha was going to kill Cromwell. It's like, "You will have your soul, my body, thy empire. I'm going to kill you." And then Talon showed up and said, and he said, "What? Okay, just move aside. I have no quarrel with you." And then Zusha said, "No, step aside. Cromwell's mine." Then Talon said, "Now we have the quarrel." And he had this big broadsword.
Okay.
And then Zusha tried to use his power to rip out Talon's guts, his stomach, and Talon knew what was going on, so he strengthened his stomach muscles, and you can see blood pouring. Just take that and try to take that sword, and then throw out that sword and kill Zusha. With the 3 swords, you could actually push a button, and a sword will actually come out.
Come out of the 3 swords?
Yes, the 3, and he was able to kill Zusha.
Wow.
The evil sorcerer.
Yeah, I got
good versus evil. Then took one of the swords and said to Cromwell, who was about dying, "King Cromwell, let's finish it." With the big battle and that kind of thing, ends up killing Cromwell the usurper. Okay. And then this is it's going to sound kind of flippant, but then they got a new just king. Everyone was going to live happily ever after, but this king decided he wanted to ride with Talon the Barbarian and share in his adventures, because they were going to save Lambosha's kingdom.
Right.
Then at the end, in this swashbuckling way, kind of out of those movies from the 40s and 30s, what did Talon said? "All right, if you want to ride with me, let us be off. There's battle in the offing. Kingdoms to save and women to love. And then the music went dun 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 dun, and then they all rode off into the sunset. And
that's how it is.
Brilliant writing.
Now,
Very
is
gory.
Science fiction? Yeah, I know. I realize it's gory. Is science fiction your favorite?
Yes, it is. But heroic fantasy is next to it.
I see. That was the name of the movie?
The Sword and the Sorcerer.
Oh, Sword and the Sorcerer is the name of the movie. Okay.
And
yeah, I've heard of that movie. I've never seen it, but I've heard the
oh,
title.
I love that movie so much. It was kind of breaking. I was worried it was going to break, so I asked him to copy my DVD. I saw it on. I recorded it on Encore. I've seen it so many times. I just love that movie. It's inspiring to me. Right. Again, good versus evil.
Okay.
Good versus evil. Not promoting anything bad, being against it.
I understand that. Yeah, that's.
Again, I wouldn't let little kids see it.
Well, not if it has to be older kids, probably like
yes,
teenagers
13 or so.
They would understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Little kids shouldn't see it. They shouldn't see any R-rated movies anyway.
Well, I guess that's an individual conviction thing because
yes.
I don't think you should necessarily judge a movie that has an R rating and say don't watch
Absolutely.
it because it's rated R.
Absolutely.
Because like My Big Fat Greek Wedding is rated R.
Yeah.
But it had a really happy end. I think it's rated R or PG, something like that.
PG-13 probably.
It had a lot of overtones in it, but if you look at the context,
exactly.
I guess I'm thinking of the context.
Exactly.
Some people just say, "Oh, this got an R rating, you can't watch it." Period, and it may end up being a pretty good film.
Oh yeah, and even Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was being interviewed in Starlog, said, for the movie Conan the Barbarian, when you take it all into context. All that sex and violence stuff just goes out the window.
Yeah,
when you take it in,
When you take it in its context, context, yeah. I got that.
And, I just love heroic fantasy. I didn't know, since you're a much stricter Christian than I am, or of a different...
Well, I wouldn't say stricter, it's just maybe in...
A different denomination.
But
yeah, but I didn't know if you'd even approve of these movies or me talking about them. That's why I never brought it up.
No. I actually did this for your sake today.
Thanks.
In fact, I was thinking about this over the week. I'm like, I'd like to have Emmett get a chance to talk about the things that are important to him that he really likes.
Yeah, and
I don't see any harm in
exactly.
that.
And since it's good versus evil, as Christians, we are involved in spiritual warfare, and the spiritual warfare life can be very intense. And these movies have been inspiring to me. See good heroes against evil.
That, yeah. From your point of view, I can see that. But yeah, we are engaged in a spiritual. We are engaged in a spiritual battle there.
Yeah,
no question
and with
about that.
beautiful music and inspiring music. And one thing about The Sword and the Sorcerer, even though it was extremely gory and very violent, that movie had a cheesy quality, almost like from the 30s and the 40s, and the dialogue, and even the 30s and 40s violin music, scored, da 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 da, how, the heroic type of thing, and they had dialogue which was so brilliant, and so cheesy. It's like there was a rebellion against King Cromwell, kind of similar to Star Wars, bringing King Cromwell, and Talon, being all barbarian, met with them. Let's see, not Ilea, Ilana, his girlfriend, wanted to be a girlfriend, and basically she had just saved her life. They were at this one bar or tavern or something, and they weren't going to be able to attack or whatever. But they both had flagons of wine, and Talon had this huge flagon of wine, this big mug of wine, and he said, "Dates, no beef." He said to the waiter. The waiter said, "As you wish. Just one leg, or should I bring the whole cow?" He said, "Just one leg will be fine." So I had this meat.
Okay.
And then he said, "You Adonians know good wine," because barbarians love wine, and she wanted him to rescue her brother from the king's dungeons. And then basically the rebels were surrounded by King Cromwell's Red Dragon army. I said, "There's nothing that can save them now. What about Talon? risking his life is his profession. And Talon said, risk, not throw away. What do you take me for, a fool? Well, you've got to save them. And then Talon said, all right, I'll rescue your rose. And this is a funny line of dialogue.
Okay.
But first I wanted, and there was the violin music, I want a taste of your lips to send me to my grave. He kissed his girlfriend and then rode off, and it was like something out, and then this waiter said, brash Hulk, who was he? And she said, I don't know, but he risked all to save me. I mean, dialogue like that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Like from the 30s or the 40s, and that kind of music. It's hard to describe. You'd have to see it. I can't describe it to the other.
I haven't seen any of those 3 movies, but if I ever do see it, I can approach it based on what you're saying from a objective point of view.
Right.
Something like that is just the way to describe it.
Because I know you don't like gore and blood.
It has nothing to do about whether you should or shouldn't. I'm just always been more of a sensitive person to those kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, I can watch them, but it's always been harder for me because I guess my make, I'm just more sensitive. I'm more of a, like the comedies and the milder science fiction.
Oh yeah,
stuff,
definitely.
Instead of the blood and gores, but I did see the Terminator though.
Oh, I love the Terminator.
Man, that scene when he wiped out that police headquarters.
Oh, that was incredible.
Yeah.
They did a sequel to Conan the Barbarian, however. 1984. It was called Conan the Destroyer.
I heard of it. I've not seen it, but I heard of it.
I have it on tape. I've seen it a few times.
Okay.
They made a big mistake with this. Okay, here's... They decided to make it PG and just not have an R rating and tone down the violence.
Oh, I see.
I think that was a bad idea.
In context of the characters.
And they wanted to make it funny, so... The premise of that movie was Conan was mourning his lost girlfriend Valeria, the warrior that was killed in battle. This Queen Amidala, some queen, came to Conan and proposed that she, with her powers, if he could go on a quest to get this gem to resurrect this awful god, this horrible Dagoth, the dreaming god, she would grant him the power to resurrect his lost love Valeria from the dead. Bizarre.
Okay.
So he went on this quest and the whole thing, but the promise to her was a lie.
Okay.
So then he went back and fought this horrible creature and won. And the whole thing had gone wrong and was able to save the kingdom, but he was without a kingdom. The reason I liked it, but, well, I would have preferred more of an intense R-rated type of...
like the
Conan the Destroyer.
Yeah.
Second of all, they had too much humor. I can't remember the name of the actor, but they wanted a plucky sidekick relief. I don't remember, he was this thief with a few daggers, but he was kind of this bumbling fool who made jokes and that kind of thing. I didn't think it was funny.
Yeah. You would have preferred more like the context like the first one?
Yeah, all serious. It was too humorous with the plucky sidekick relief, and
Right.
the thief was always scared. It didn't work. It was good. I mean, Conan the Barbarian was a 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 10. As far as Conan the Destroyer, even had fighting scenes and some good costumes, the music wasn't near as good. On a scale of 1 to 10, the sequel, Conan the Destroyer, would have been a 6.
Okay.
I was just disappointed. I like it. I have it on tape for posterity. If it's on, I'll watch it.
Okay.
Wasn't near as good as the first one. Not even close. I mean, mercifully, they didn't make a third one.
I see.
They made a series, though, I think in the 90s, early 90s, of Conan the Barbarian. They tried to make a television series. Mercifully lasted just for one series. Mercifully, because there was no real fighting.
Well,
Conan wasn't...
If they made it into a television show,
Yeah.
they probably had to think of the audience.
They did, and I thought it was just a lousy version.
Conan will have more children watching it on television.
Yeah, so
That's probably what were
but
thinking.
they shouldn't have toned it down. They shouldn't. have toned it down like that. In other words, if they can't make the series, then don't make it. They just should have left it in the movies as R-rated.
I see. Yeah, you got a point. I see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
By the way, in the last few, I don't know how much longer we have.
We got about less than 7 minutes or so. We're almost out of time.
Yeah. Let me throw this out for you. A lot of Christians, well-meaning Christians, I think from the highest motives, have been against a series that was made in 1982, 83. It was an animated series, which I love.
What was the name of it?
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
I know of it. I've not seen it, but I know of it.
It's still good versus evil.
It's
not promoting evil. Okay. It's good versus evil.
Well, then what was the controversy about that then?
Because, again, there was magic involved. It had to go with magic in it. And a lot of Christians said, children shouldn't look at it. This is bad. This is wrong. They shouldn't have magic in it. Yeah. One of those things, kind of like but since it's good versus evil, like Jack Van Impe was saying, and I do.
Yeah. That's what he said. I heard him say that on television. He didn't say don't watch it. He just said just be informed that good should
and that
be over evil is what he was talking about.
Was the premise of He-Man.
Yeah, I know of those characters. I know they have some pretty scary characters for cartoons.
Oh, they did, but it was very well done. I would have done it as an R-rated movie and kept it away from me
because I've never actually watched it. I've just seen the characters on the movie. I've seen it.
It was based on a line of toys by Mattel, but they made a cartoon version. Yeah. Basically, it was on another planet, Eternia. Prince Adam, with the help of a mystical sword from Castle Grayskull, whatever, could transform into He-Man the Barbarian, the strongest man in the universe, and his Pat Cringer into a mighty battle cat. And he would fight evil people and evil sorcerers that wanted to rule Castle Grayskull.
Well, you know, that kind of thing. Like this, if that kind of entertainment works for you, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Exactly.
Because you're not the only person that likes those kind of movies.
Yeah, and television shows.
Some people do. I think that's fine in and of itself. I'm not going to sit there and say, don't look at that or something.
I just don't think He-Man was promoting anything bad. It was good versus evil, and that's what people just don't understand, you know.
Well, I think it goes down to people's personal convictions, you know.
I think you're right.
So if it works for you, fine. If it doesn't, then maybe you should think of watching something else as well.
Oh, it works for me. I love it.
No, I know, and I'm not criticizing that. I'm just saying that I guess some people it just wouldn't work for.
Exactly.
But, everybody's different.
Yeah, they are. It's just, I find the stories inspiring. That kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. Let's see. We got about 5 minutes left. You got any final things you want to say?
The only other thing I can think of, there was one movie that was also heroic fantasy that I loved, but it was based more on the legend of King Arthur. It was a very long movie called Excalibur.
I've heard of it.
Loved it.
I think they had a Disney version of that too, I believe.
Yeah, this was live action, and it was about the story of King Arthur and the knights and the whole story. Beautifully done.
Okay, yeah.
Beautifully done. Came out in 1981. I mean, it was gory as well. It was R-rated.
Yeah.
Blood, guts, and gore throughout. And it had the wizard Merlin and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know of it.
Yeah, I think it was filmed in England, and the soundtrack was from Carl Orff. Do you remember Carl Orff's music?
I've heard the name.
You know.
Well, see, you'll have to carry this particular episode because I know of this stuff, but I've not actually seen it, so I can't comment.
It was a movie that was made in 1981, and it was just beautifully done. You know, about the legend of Conan the Barbarian and the mystic sword, Excalibur and the Lady of the Lake. But they had Carl Orff's music, you know, dun 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 dun. All when they had those battles in it, beautifully dun 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 dun. What beautifully done.
Cool. Well, I hope this is something totally different for the cafe.
Yes.
It has a fresh approach.
It does.
But like I said, I did it more for your sake.
Thanks.
I want you to be happy too.
Oh, yeah.
Being a guest here and being part of the show, and I appreciate all your support over the years
Yeah.
on this show. I don't get to say that often, but
Yeah,
I
thanks.
appreciate that. Go ahead.
And I just, that's why I never brought up Conan, because I thought I knew you had strict standards on your show. I didn't even think I'd be allowed to talk about it. You would have shut the show.
I think that was harmless. I thought, I've been thinking, like I said, I've been thinking about that too.
And I've been praying about that myself, because I know your strict standards,
Well, we can't, use inappropriate language and stuff.
Oh,
like
no.
That, but, and I know you wouldn't, but no, I think that that's fine. I think it's
Yeah.
fine. And we'll probably talk about more science fiction stuff.
And maybe
whatever.
even other
I don't
heroic
know.
man type of
I
stuff.
don't know.
Yeah. Just love it.
But if you look at, even Star Trek, technically has, especially the Cage episode has a lot of overtones.
Yes, it did. Yes, it
You
did.
know, the mind reading stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
Well, that was just for aliens. The aliens
Yeah,
were
I know.
telepaths.
And so I'm just using that as a crude analogy that I think it's okay. Because I watched that episode a lot, the Cage. It's just fun to watch, to me.
Oh, it's excellent. I love that episode. Yeah, they were aliens that had telepathy and they could read, and that's not promoting anything bad. That's just their alien race. They had
and I understand
certain
that.
abilities.
I think if you look at the context,
Yeah.
but again, everybody's different. Well, we are literally out of time.
Yep.
We're out of time. This went by pretty quick.
I knew it would.
And covering
Yep.
Emmett's
love of heroic fantasy. That's another passion of mine. Science fiction and heroic fantasy. Boom.
Well, I like
boom.
science fiction too, but mine is more the Star Trek kind of science fiction.
I love that too.
The gory.
Yeah. I guess you would hate the alien movies. I love the alien movies.
I saw Alien 1, and
I loved it.
After watching that, I was like, I'm done.
I loved Alien 2, Alien 3. I just love them. Alien Covenant came out last year. Very gory. I love that too. They went on another planet and found some more of the other aliens. A whole different cast of people. But boy, that was a good movie.
Yeah. Well, we're out of time, Emmett, and let's tell the TV audience again. We're
Yep.
on the set of Conan the Barbarian and Battlestar Galactica. And that's
Yep.
a beautiful
Yeah, it is.
set. And it's funny because we're in the cafe now, the set of this
Yep.
show and all the other stuff we've done in the past. So this is
Yep.
a lot of fun.
Definitely.
And this is a blast. So
It is.
next week, I think one of the younger people that works here later, I think they're going to design a set for
Wonderful.
for our 200th Asaph Cafe.
Wonderful.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
200. That's something. So we're going to have a little celebration and party. We'll have it on air too.
Wonderful. You mean it's live or not?
No, when we do the
Okay,
cafe
yes,
next
yes.
week, we'll be celebrating the party on camera too.
Yes, I know, I know.
Camera and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it'll be our 200th
Wonderful.
Cafe. And it's a blast.
Yeah, there's
It's
nothing
a
wrong
blast.
like having a beer or a glass of wine with one of these heroic fantasy movies
I don't
like
think so
Conan.
necessarily.
Yes.
either.
Nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful. And
but
eating.
again, it's a conviction thing.
It is.
It's a conviction thing.
Yep.
Because I've heard things from people on television and in real life say certain things that I didn't necessarily agree with, but I'm not going to smash their
Oh, absolutely.
belief and tear them.
Yeah.
That's just their view on it. Isn't there a Bible verse that says if it's wrong for you, then don't do it?
Right.
Or
Exactly.
something like
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Yeah. And if it works for you, fine.
Right,
If it
right.
doesn't,
Mhm.
you know, that kind of thing. Well, anyway, this is Asaph Cafe. We're on the set of Conan the Barbarian and Battlestar Galactica.
At the
with
same
actor
time, yep.
Lauren Green and
Yep.
of course Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, it makes you wonder who thinks of this stuff. They
It's
must have
just
some-
brilliant imagination.
Yeah, just fun imagination
Yep.
people that think this stuff up. So, affectionately on my left, our aging rocker
Yep.
Emmett. You got any final words? We're literally out of time. Any final words?
There were these two washing machines, and they saw a hat in their way. One said to the other, "Is that in your way?" And the other said, "No, it's in your way, and it's blocking my view." Ha! Isn't that hilarious?
All right. Well, on that note, this is Asaph Cafe, and again next week our 200th show, and that's going to be a lot of
Yep.
fun. Good Lord willing.
Yep.
So until our next show, Maranatha.
Oh, we drank all the soda pop too. Yep.
Yeah,
secret
just talking
ingredient,
about
yep.
Conan and all that. Yeah. When you make yourself a home, I'll put everything down. I'll make a copy of this.
Wonderful.
And, then I'll talk to Joel about the show for next
Wonderful. Sorry about all of my allergies. Not much I can do about it. Yeah.